question about the vortex. When it first presented, it troubled me somewhat to the concept, because I always thought of the vortex as being somewhere as opposed to being something, a state of being. And the thought of the vortex being a state of being, it's the state that I'm in that resonates from the inside out, as opposed to trying to get into the vortex somewhere out there, over there, up there. Well, it was fairly challenging for me.
We agree with you in this sense. As we talk about the stream, it's less definitive. But the reason that vortex, for now, feels like the best descriptive word is because it demonstrates the pulling power of law of attraction. And it demonstrates the energy that really is trying to call you in. And, of course, it doesn't matter what label you give this non-physical state of being. It is not a place.
Right.
So what could you call it? We were looking for a way of getting your attention to help you consciously acknowledge whether you've achieved the vibrational shift that you are looking for or not. And the stream, while it leaned in the direction of accomplishing the shift, the vortex, the idea of it being a sort of place that you arrived, emotional place that you arrive, was a little more beneficial to people who were more goal-oriented. That's all. The vortex, we tease about how, as we are visiting with our physical friends, how many in your effort to understand your relationship with non-physical, many teachers have offered many fairy tales in order to build the bridge. But in fairness, our vortex is a sort of other fairy tale in the sense that there is no place called vortex. It's a state of being. But there, you see, this is the thing that you're helping us to say even more clearly. You think that there's a place called physical manifestation, even though it's only a perceptual place. So we're just trying to help you to realize that this place that you call now real life, knock on wood, physical, flesh, blood, bone reality is just your interpretation of vibration. You've just been doing it longer, more of you, and so it's more vivid. But this vibrational reality is every bit as real. Every bit is real. And that's why the compliment that you offered as you began here today, that's why it is so very easy for us to bring you in the vicinity of who you really are, because we know vividly who you really are, and we do not know vividly who you're being here in your physical format. In other words, we've given no attention to what's not working. We only give our attention to who you have become.
Which is profound.
And because we know who you have become so powerfully, we offer a singular vibration about that, which if you are paying attention to us, will call you home to the vibration of who you are. As a therapist working on someone's bum knee, you're not affording yourself the same advantage, because you have to be aware of their physical environment. And what we're suggesting is that if you would spend more time in advance of your interacting with them, in other words, see them, ascertain what's going on, treat them a little bit, but if you can get off to yourself where you can see and feel clearly the improved physical condition that they have been reaching for, and address them as completely as you can from your knowledge of the perfection of their physical body, then you will have the advantage with them that we have, that no matter where they are, they can find their way to it with just a little bit of willingness.
One of my jokes with my clients is I look forward to the day when they walk through the door and that's all they have to do. It's the Jesus concept of seeing them in their perfection, their need then goes away, that they find the balance. It's not happening yet, but that's something that's fairly exciting.
But it will happen faster if you stop assigning it to them and assign it to yourself.
Amen. For sure.
Because how you see them has nothing to do with how they are when they walk through the door. How you see them has to do with the discipline of your mind, not the condition of their body.
Right. Thank you.
So, teacher to teacher, we're just reflecting back to you what you reflected to us. That's exactly what you're reaching for.
Right.
So if you have a client or a patient who is determined to tell you what's going wrong, what you want to say to them is, this conversation and conversations like it are at the root of this physical problem. If I act as a sounding board, then I'm just helping you perpetuate something that you and I both know you don't want.
Right.
So leave that outside of this environment, because you don't help me help you.
Yeah, right.
If you really want to help me help you, be quiet about anything that is bothering you.
Yep.
And allow me to focus completely upon where you're going.
That's right.
And isn't that what you're doing anyway?
Yeah, most definitely. And the best work is done when we're both quiet, focusing on that releasing of the resistance, that things happen profoundly.
Well, we want to give you something, because we think you're working too hard about this.
I'm always working hard, for sure.
But here is something that we really want you to consider. First, they don't need you.
Yeah, I agree.
They do need you, but they don't need you. But they do need you, but they don't need you. But here's what we mean about them, they don't need you. You heard what we said earlier about the cells of their body are already asking. And so they've already put the request in, and vibrationally speaking, it's already underway. So the cells of their body have got control of this. The cells of their body are doing their thing. So what you provide as a physician, as a chiropractor, as someone who offers massage, as a healer of any kind, what you offer at best and at most is an environment where their cells can talk unfettered. At very best, that's what you offer. So now think about that. As a physician, as you're saying, oh, I looked into this x-ray or this blood test, and look at the bad news I found, you're hindering, not helping. You're telling the truth, but you're hindering. You are setting up an environment that makes it harder for those cells to do what they would do if you weren't exacerbating the tension that was clearly there before. As anyone who has hands-on healing, if you will accept that you are not harnessing the energy that creates worlds and funneling it through your fingertips, asserting it into this body for improvement, because the cells of their body are doing that. What you are is a facilitator to help them chill out and let the natural healing happen.
And I've had that shift in my perspective where it's not this thing coming in, going into. What I've been working on, thankfully to your teaching, is the idea, can I be in a place of being as happy and as grateful and as appreciative, and can I flow with this? And the thought is, the better I can feel, the more resonant that I am in the feeling joyful or appreciative, then I know
or expectant
that they are feeling the exact same thing in the exact same moment.
Well, you've nailed it, but that's exactly what your benefit to them is. Because
can I stay in that state?
And that's the question that you want to put to yourself and then put to them. In other words, that's the whole point of not encouraging their complaining about where they are. Because if they're complaining and you're listening, it's less likely that you'll stay in that state.
We're now
and so that's why we're saying, if you work on the knee that hurts, you are going about it the hard way. Work on the knee that doesn't hurt.
Right. Or don't even work on the knee. Be joyfully going through the process.
But think about the fun of that. So you're working on their knee, and they'll say, no, it's the other knee. And you say, I know.
Right.
But if we work on the knee that hurts,
that does happen,
then you and me focus in the place where the resistance exists, and we prevent the cells from doing what they would do.
Look over here.
I am the distractor of your discomfort. That is what my magic is. That's what you want to say to them. I am here to distract you. But now let's take it deeper, because they're coming to you for relief, and they're going to get it under these conditions. But then you want to, if you get to visit with them on an ongoing basis, if they come back to you a few times, what you want to say to them is, I'm here to help you first and foremost find physical relief. But ultimately, in order to keep that discomfort from squirting out in another way, because you could say to them, I have patients that come this week, this hurts, next week that hurts, next week that hurts, next week that hurts. It's like the resistance will show up all over their body. And the majority of them will say, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I have a stiff neck. Sometimes I have a pain in my toes. Sometimes it's in my lower back. Sometimes it's in my upper back. In other words, everybody has those experiences. is where it sort of moves around to some degree. So say to them, I want to help you get to the heart of the resistance that's moving around through your body. Because I believe with everything that I am that you should be pain-free. But you can't be pain-free until you are resistance-free. Yeah. And you can't be free of resistance until you're full of allowing. And now you've got a dialogue going on.
Yeah. Very nice.
Now, sometimes you say, most healers would say to us, not all of my clients are ready for this conversation. And then we say, then get different clients.
Well, or better, may I offer a better suggestion? This has been, develop a new conversation, create a new language so that you know exactly where your client is, so you can provide the words that they need to hear in that moment like you do. So I find myself being an interpreter. Can I find the exact words that this person, based on being their paradigm, can I provide that language that provides information that gives them the elevation, gives them the bump?
And we just want to add one more thing.
Please.
Can you do it without leaving the vortex?
Then when I do, then things happen magically.
We think you do, and we think you do often, and we think you're really onto something. But that's the piece that we want to give to you.
Yes, most
you want to make sure, and that's why you must do your work before they enter the room.
Right.
In other words, get yourself ready, get yourself in the vortex, and then see them. Never address anyone from outside the vortex. And if you're in the vortex and they come in and they're in such a state that they cause you to focus outside the vortex, excuse yourself from them and go somewhere, and somewhere we know not where, and get into the vortex.
Nice.
You might even say to them, we'd encourage you all to say that to anyone, to say it to your children. Esther was having fun with grandchildren the other day because one of them was upset over something, and then the other one got upset over it, and then Esther got upset that they were upset. And Esther began to laugh, and they looked at her like she was a crazy person because they were still upset, and she just had been. She'd shouted at them because they were about to tear a page out of a book that really mattered to her, that had photographs of them in it. She said, hey, stop that. You're going to tear it. And they were going to tear it. And so they looked at her, shocked, because they'd never heard her raise their voice at all. And then Esther began to laugh. And now they don't quite understand how she went from hey to laughing. And Esther said, this was a really interesting thing. You were in the chain of pain. And then you got in the chain of pain too. And then I got in the chain of pain. I think we need a chain of joy. And they said, yay, 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 chain of joy, chain of joy, chain of joy. And they're little, they were easy. They were easy. They'd much rather have joy than unhappiness. They would far rather see Esther happy with them than not. But a lot of people have really developed patterns where not only do they believe that it's all right for them to be in that complaining, defensive, unhappy mood, but they think that it's the logical or even right place for them to be. And it takes a focused person to realize that you're of no advantage to anyone if they suck you into their chain of pain.
That's definitely right.
You have no advantage whatsoever. So you just have that must be your work. And we know you know that, but it's easier in theory, as all of you know, than it is in day-to-day practice, because you are accustomed to observing, and what you observe has vibrational qualities that then you begin to pick up on. And so to keep your vibration pure, you have to have pre-paved it. You have to have pre-practiced it. You have to have determined that that's where you're going to be, regardless of where they are. And as your clients become familiar with you, you can develop that sort of dialogue where you help them to understand that your work is vibrational work, and their healing is vibrational healing. And it is your intention to maintain this resistance-free zone. And many of them will begin to get the hang of it. And without even having long conversations about vibration, through the power of your example, you'll just let them understand that you do good work under those conditions and not such good work under the other conditions, and so do they. And it will begin to translate into their life experience, where they will begin to put two and two together. They will begin to associate the better sessions they have with you with the better dialogue that they have with you.